Hi guys, in this lesson we will cover the value counts method, which is super powerful in data analysis. Let's first create a new file and call it value counts. Add a couple of lines. Before explaining the value counts method, we will do what? Import our data here. Import pandas spd. Shift enter. It will import our library. Then I need to go back here and access this folder and import this data here, server data CSV here. I will copy it here right now, and first I will create the variable name, then the alias library pd red CSV, and the first one I will go back. We already know how to go back one folder, and then after going back here, in just a minute, after going back here from this Pandas tutorial, one step back, it comes to this folder, and from here you can access the data here, and inside of the data folder you will type in the name of the file and print out your variable name and the first 5 rows here with the help of head method, and we will import our data here. This is the data, basically the CSV files. I can use the method. There is a method called count method. Data count is just a simple way of showing how many rows are inside of your data frame. Each column you could see that has the same row length here. We already know that we have a data shape that basically says that whole data frame, how many rows and columns are inside of your data here, but we don't need it right now. The very first thing that we are going to explain, the value counts method. This is commonly used for counting the number of unique values inside of this data frame here. What do I mean? The very first thing, data, I will assign the data frame variable and then the name of the column here. Let's pick up one column here. I will pick this education column. I will copy it. We already know how to just call the column names here. We have 2 methods of calling it. The very first one is this one. The second one inside of square brackets. But as soon as we don't have a space here inside of this column, we could easily assign it like that. But I will not risk it. I will try to pick the proper way of calling it, like this one. Again, the result is the same. And now I will try to call the value counts method here. If I click enter here, shift enter, it will commonly print out the the number of rows or the unique values inside of your column here. It basically says that we have 3,322 rows of graduate inside of this education column, and 1,330 rows of these 20 pass here, and etc. It's just counting the number of unique values in your column here. And we could even call, if we want, we could call the keys here. If you want to just call these keys here, you would add the keys here, like this one, keys. Click enter, it will print out only the keys here, or the values. You shouldn't type it like that, like the method. You are just typing the values as the attributes here. Otherwise, it will print out the error here. If you want to access only the values, you are just typing it like the attribute here. From here you could see that this is the data that is existing in your column. It just has counted all these rows and printed out. It says that we have this type of rows and the number of them is here, 3,322 rows of graduate, etc. But if we want to print them out in a percentage sign, we have the trick to do inside of the Pandas library. We don't want to show up these numbers like here. We want to just print them or output them in percentages. In order to do that, what should we do? First, I will just assign the column itself, education, right? Click enter. Data, education. Then again, I will type in the value counts, and now in order to print them or assign them as the percentages, I will have to give a parameter called normalize equals true. If I click enter, you could see that it would convert these numbers as the percentages. It will basically say that there are 48% of the graduate in this column here. You could even, before just continuing it, I will just mention here that if we want, by default they are assigned in by descending order from the most common one to the least common one. But if you want to type them in ascending order, you are just typing the ascending equals to true and click enter. You will see it will just print out it from the least to the most common ones, or ascending false in the previous format here, like that. Okay, if we want to continue, just click Alt Shift Enter. Nothing has been changed here. And now if I want to avoid this 0 here, I will have to multiply it to 100. This is the basic math, you should know it. And now it has printed out the numbers as it is, 48.337, etc. percentage here. And we could even round this number. In order to round it, let's first assign it to the variable and round this variable to the 3. It's 3. It will just print out 3 numbers after the decimal. We even don't need it. If I type in it like that, it will just print out these percentages like this one. Or I can even add a 1 here. This is considered as a huge amount. And now if I want to add the percentage sign here, let's try to add the percentage sign. If I click Shift Enter, it will print out the error. It will say that contains signature D type. We have a problem with the string, with the data type. I will try to add S type str, and click Shift Enter. You will see that it will print out the result. It will basically say that we have 48.4% of graduate, 19.4% of 20 pass, etc. You can see it looks better right now. We might have huge numbers here, but if we want to print them like in percentage sign, we are just making this simple formulation here and print it out. This is a very useful thing in data analysis. Okay, most usually we use bins inside of value counts. What are the bins? Binning is a type of data pre-processing. You can bin the data into equal size and custom size bins. This binning can be applied to convert only numeric values. Usually it's used with cut function, which will be covered in the future, but for now, just the basic understanding is enough for you. Before explaining, I will create the series here. This is the easy way of explanation. PD series, we already know how to create series inside of these round and square brackets. We will type the random numbers here, 6 and 8, 9, etc. Shift Enter, nothing has been printed. But if I try to access again this variable, my series, right, and this method value counts, what would it print? Let's see. It isn't printing anything yet. It just shows how many items are here. But if I try to add bins here equals to 3 as an example, it will say what? it will automatically split these numbers into 3 parts and say, hey, I have 6 elements inside of this series, starting from 1.9 to ending with 4.3, and 3 elements from 4.3 to 6.6, and 2 elements from 6.6 to 9.0. It just automatically splits it to 3 parts. Yeah, if I type in 4, it will split it to 4 parts. The bins is also very useful. Sometimes you will need to use it while visualizing your data in the with the matplotlib library. You might have years and lots of years inside of your data, and you will just create the bins in order to group those years and print out the random years. This will be very useful to know. Okay, and let's see that I want to split the data in 3 parts using the columns here. In order to do this, let's first create or define the column. Let's see, I have a column called data. Let's try to import another data here. df equals to read CSV, again accessing data, and I will try to call, no, server data has been imported, I think, yes, and we will just import what? Let's try to import this data. Okay, read CSV because I haven't added this library, and now if I print it out, it will import all data here. And now what I want to print out this element code as an example, this element code in 3 different rows, like split them in 3 parts and print them out and count the number of these items here. In order to do this, I will type in the df the name of the column name, element, or the code. Maybe it has a space here. And now I will do what? I will type in the value counts, and if I click enter, it will say that we have 71 row of these numbers, 71 row of this number, and etc. 48 just numbers of 48 rows of this number, 5910. But if I want to use bins, let's say I want to use bins equals to 3, it will split it up and says from I have 178 rows starting from 5607 ending with 5700, and then it just continues with this one up to the 5817, and from 5817 it will just go onto the last element here, onto the last number, and split it out. It clearly says that after 5712 it has nothing here, it has no rows here. All the numbers are coming up to this number here. Okay, but I can manually even assign these parameters. If I try to type in 5600 and 5700, what will it print? Let's see. Click shift enter. It will say that we have 178 rows starting from 5599, basically from 5600 to 5700. You could see that we have already manually just gave the parameter to this function here. Just keep in mind that this is going to be very useful in the future. And I think that that's it for now. Thank you for watching this video. subscribe to my channel. Have a good day. Bye.